The gloves are off as far as I'm concerned.
Jordan Peterson vowing to fight on back in August of 2023. Now he's vowing to do the same again. Hi, I'm Brian Lilley, political columnist for the Toronto Sun. That clip you saw, that was Jordan Peterson back on August 23rd, 2023. I spoke to him just after he had lost at the Ontario Superior Court of Justice in his challenge for judicial review of the Ontario College of Psychologists' decision that he had to undergo social media re-education training. That's right, a college of professionals saying you have to undergo social media re-education because we don't like what you say. And it has nothing to do with your practice as a psychologist, but everything to do with how you're acting politically. That's what this was all about. It's what it was always about. Jordan Peterson lost that case in August, said he would fight on to the Supreme Court if he could, but now the Ontario Court of Appeal has said no. They've dismissed the case without even giving any reasons. They've just said, we will not grant leave to appeal. We will not grant permission to present new evidence. So the court case is essentially done now. He can't go to the Supreme Court. He can't go any further in a judicial process. Now, Peterson was clear when I spoke to him back in August that this was not just a fight for him, that this was a fight for everyone who has these sorts of colleges for professions, be it an engineer, a doctor, a teacher, a lawyer, looking over them. And that if they are not careful, they will end up in the same place he is, where their political speech is being policed and that they will face the consequences. As I said to Dr. Peterson at the time, I heard from an awful lot of people in various professions who said they were worried about what his case meant for them. Some agreed with Peterson, some did not, but saw the wisdom in his fight. And he said at the time he was fighting for them.
I know a number of brave physicians who in principle would be willing to speak publicly on my behalf, who are terrified of repercussions that will descend upon them by their respective professional associations. And none of them, virtually none of them, have been able to withstand the total threat that the college can bring to bear on the likelihood of them continuing their professional enterprise.
In a piece published in the National Post, Peterson is vowing to continue to fight on. Exactly how? He hasn't said yet. As I said, his legal options are now, they're exhausted, but he does have other options. He's got the wealth, he's got the means to be able to fight the people behind this in various forms. And he's doing it not just for himself, but for everyday Canadians. Here's his warning in the National Post. Canadians, mark my words, your much vaunted Charter of Rights isn't worth the paper it's printed on. As one of its last remaining signatories has been continually striving to indicate, your right to free speech is essentially non-existent, as evidenced by the court decisions we are now considering. You have no real property rights. Your rights to mobility can be taken away without consequence at any moment, as they were very recently. When the Ontario Superior Court of Justice found that the Ontario College of Psychologists had violated Peterson's rights, which they did. They violated Peterson's rights. The court then turned around and said, but it's acceptable. They used Section 1 of the Charter and said it's acceptable. And as long as they do it in an acceptable way, we're okay with it. This is the section of the Charter that says you have your rights until the courts tell you you don't. There's been a big fight over the notwithstanding clause over the last couple of years as politicians seek to use it to push back against judicial overreach. But what nobody is fighting about is Section 1, which is what has been used time and again in the cases that Peterson's writing about, in the cases that Peterson is fighting in the courts. This is what judges do. Yes, your charter rights were violated, but we found a way in our wisdom to explain why it's okay. So your charter rights exist as long as the judges and the Laurentian elite feel you should have them. That's what it comes down to, and that's why he's fighting. And that's why this is a fight worth getting behind. You don't have to agree with Dr. Peterson on everything. You don't have to agree with him on most things. But you should agree with him that your charter rights need to be protected from judicial overreach and Laurentian elite that are driving them down and not making them worth, as he said, the paper they're printed on. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment down below. Share this on social media. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel.